My name is Zach Lemman, and I am the curator of animal collections at Audubon Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. A curator is typically someone who amasses and organizes and in many cases displays a collection of items. And in this case, the items are live bugs. Most people, if they see a butterfly flying by, if it's got some nice colors to it, they're intrigued. I think at a certain level, humans are color junkies. So I like what everybody likes about bugs, which is if they're big, that's impressive. If they're colorful, that's eye-catching and pleasing. I find it inherently fascinating to learn that this thing's a specialist and it only eats X, or this thing has to hunt for prey and here's how it does it, but it's flexible and it can hunt for different animals in different ways. So the lifestyles, if you will, of these things, which are extraordinarily diverse, has always been pretty intriguing to me. In second grade, I was one of, I don't know, maybe 24 kids in a classroom, and our teacher knew a local lady here in New Orleans, where I grew up, who raised monarch butterflies. So each of us got a monarch caterpillar, and we got to raise it, watch it become a butterfly, and that's the spark that I remember that got me excited about it. You know, if I'm outside in an area where I can find bugs, I'm a happy person. It just brings me joy, like eating a chocolate bar. I like busting open logs, turning over rocks, and I don't mind swinging a net around, but I do like to unearth things that are hidden. So, yeah, it's nice to catch stuff. I do like the pursuit. Those are like some of my favorite things, and one of the things that makes me happy is to be able to answer questions, and it's bugs that I can answer the questions about. If you've got a picture of a caterpillar from your backyard, I'm probably going to be able to share some knowledge with you about it, and in an excited fashion that might get you jazzed about bugs too. So I was at the zoo from '92 all the way until the time when I started being an Insectarium employee, which was before we even opened. Strictly speaking, this museum opened in June of 2008. I've certainly been here since then. I was involved in the planning, what the animal collection was going to look like, what the scientific content was going to be. There are a lot of TV entities that find out there's an insect museum and then they want our help with one thing or another. I got to do a shoot with National Geographic. They were shooting a 3D IMAX film, and bugs were a significant part of it. It was just a warehouse near here, but we had to figure out what bugs we could take off site and bring there, and what bugs could be tossed in the air so that they could get footage of them flying without us worrying about them escaping. There was a program once about swarms, and they wanted to show masses of insects, not necessarily insects that were migrating or moving, which is what we associate with a swarm. We went ahead and got some mammals of varying sizes that were no longer alive. And in June, we set them in a greenhouse so that they could be at a stage where flies would find them attractive for egg laying, and therefore a swarm of maggots would be visible. One scene involved me pretending to explore a dumpster and going, aha, look what I found, a dead rat. And there's the rat full of maggots and I'm doing stuff. When we had our nature center up and running before Hurricane Katrina, it just reopened. Their education director wanted to do an edible insect event, and I was called because I was the bug guy at the zoo. And I'd never done any bug cooking before, so it was like, well, learn how to do this, Zach. But 3 months after I did it, I found myself on The Tonight Show cooking bugs. And locally, people remember that. And it's really funny because a lot of times friends will introduce me and say, hey, you know, Zach was on The Tonight Show, as if cooking bugs makes up a substantial part of what I do every day, and it doesn't. So even though we have a lot of people here who can cook bugs and do a great job, I'm sort of the bug chef that gets called to other places. So I'll do events around the country and in some cases in other countries. My larger goal as curator of the animal collection is to make sure that the roughly 70 live bug exhibits we have here have animals, that there are backup animals at the lab that are being raised so that if something catastrophic happens, we can replace them. I have to maintain contacts with suppliers of these animals if we're not rearing them ourselves. And the exhibits that are here that you would come to see as a guest on a given day need to look good. There needs to be a graphic. It needs to have accurate information that's in a large enough font size that people can read it. And usually once that's set, you don't have to change it a whole lot. We have to keep in mind the fact that there are so many billions and billions of these things that they are bound to be important by sheer mass. And what you've got is these things that pollinate plants, aerate soil, decompose and recycle nutrients, and form an integral base to food pyramids. And if you take bugs out of natural systems where all of those things are happening, all of those things don't happen. And you get terrestrial ecosystems that just fall apart. I love tigers and whales as much as the next guy, and I know we would be a poorer planet if they were gone, and it would be sad. I'd miss them as much as anyone else. But we as a species would be fine. From a purely anthropocentric or selfish standpoint, we better care about bugs, because if they're out of the picture, we have a problem. Most people don't stop and think about that. And I don't say that to be a dire consequences environmental doom and gloom person. I just want to point out to folks that we need them.